What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's Flashback Reviews, where I take movies from the past, break them down, and tell you what I think about them. If you like my channel, hit that subscribe button. It's Movie Emporium. It's a good channel. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video that you watch, including this one. So, before we begin on this actual review, I want to thank everybody who's been watching for the last 2 years. I started this channel back in 2018, July 27th, actually when this video posts. Just want to thank you guys for watching. It really means a lot. There's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I never thought I would make it 2 years. So having a lot of good friends on YouTube, having a lot of good people that I've talked to on YouTube, just thank you so much. And we're going to talk about a movie that I not only really enjoy, but I think is one of the funniest comedies of all time. So Caddyshack came out July 25th, 1980, 40 years ago, as of a couple days ago when this video posts. It was a movie that made $40 million in 1980, so it was a huge success. Actually ignited the career of Rodney Dangerfield and included a whole slew of people that are either famous, well-liked, disliked, or just like in a different atmosphere and stratosphere in the comedy genre. And it was a movie that was directed by Harold Ramis. This is his first film directing, and it's a movie about caddies. It's a movie about living on the golf course. It's a movie about just the nature of the insanity that is the world of caddies and golf and whatnot. And it's just a movie that just like hinges on its no plot. It just hinges on its characters. It hinges on the absurdity of what these few days that this movie takes place in deal with. And it's just an incredible, funny film. And it's actually written by Brian Doyle Murray, who actually plays the manager of the caddies in this movie. And it's basically almost like a past view of what he went through as a caddy. Some of these things actually happened to him. Some of these people that we see in the movie, like the old couple, he actually dealt with in the movie. And it's also interesting to see in this movie with some of the characters and some of the actors who were also caddies, like Harold Ramis and so on and so forth. So the movie works on that level alone of having past experience. When you have past experience with the thing you're actually putting up on the screen, it tends to work. It tends to be an interesting film. And I don't know, there's just something so strangely odd about this movie. It's so strangely like energetic about the movie. It has so many great moments. It has so many great themes and logics and non-logics. There's a gopher in this movie that Bill Murray's trying to tackle. There's a guy who comes into the country club all the time named Judge Smalls, and he's played by Ted Knight, and he's a very hoity-toity, up his own ass type of character. You know, you have Rodney Dangerfield. This movie goes on and on and on. And I'll get into the characters one by one, but the movie is considered one of the great comedies of all time for a reason, and just based off the acting alone. But because of the absurd nature, you know, when you look at stuff like what John Landis was doing, or Ivan Reitman, or any of these comedic directors and writers at the time, this movie is kind of with Animal House, kind of the linchpin or the early rumblings of those types of films, of the getting a bunch of well-known cast members at the time and even now, and putting them into whatever scenarios they can do. You know, a lot of this movie is improvised. There was a lot of drug use in this movie, and it really shows. I mean, there are moments in this movie where you swear they were on acid when they were filming it, because it's so insanely ridiculous. It's so insanely crazy, but it just works. It really does. And we'll start out with Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield is one of the greatest comedians of all time at this point. He is a guy who, you know, came up through the Johnny Carson circuit. He was a guy that just had so much charisma. He was outlandish. He was goofy. He just was an oafish type character, but he has such a weird, crazy aura about him that he just fits in this movie perfectly. He plays a building magnate, you know, the guy who owns a bunch of construction, owns a bunch of, you know, housing developments, so he's very rich, but he's outlandish, he's insane. There's a great story about how Harold Ramis was trying to get him to kind of work in the system of, you know, action. When you say action, when a movie starts, and because Rodney Dangerfield is known for doing the comedy circuit, he's known for doing his thing. When Harold Ramis would say action, Rodney Dangerfield wouldn't do anything. He would just sit there. He would just stare into space. And Harold Ramis would go, you know, you go when I say action, and Rodney Dangerfield's like, okay, and Rodney Dangerfield once again wouldn't do anything. It's similar to like Homer Simpson and the one where he is being talked to by the FBI, and they're like, say something, and he's like, okay, but he doesn't actually do the thing he says he's gonna do.
Be Homer Thompson at Terror Lake. Let's just practice a bit, hmm? When I say, hello, Mr. Thompson, you'll say, hi.
Check.
Hello, Mr. Thompson. Remember now, your name is Homer Thompson.
I got you.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
But what Harold Ramis did, he's like, okay, Rodney Dangerfield, do your bit. And that's why there are so many strange but kind of awe-inspiring moments with Rodney Dangerfield, because you let the guy loose and do what he needs to do. There's so much improvisation with Rodney Dangerfield's character in this movie. It's actually quite incredible. The bowl of soup thing with the hat, the use of the Asian characters who are named Wang, the golf clubs, the car running through the grass. It's just like every single time he's on the screen, he is on point. He's doing his A-level material, and he just never seems to tire. At the very end of this movie and throughout this movie, he's dancing and he's getting on Judge Small's nerves, and he's just like, there's so much good stuff. There's the stuff on the boat when he can't control the boat and it's like crashing into the stuff, and like I said, when he's driving on the golf course, him as Al Serznick is just an amazing character. I think I have his pop figure up here because I love that character so much. But he is just, Rodney Dangerfield is just, he's magnetic and amazing and eccentric and exciting to watch in this movie. He's one of the standout characters, and like I said, this was his breakout role. This is what he was known for later on, for doing stuff like Back to School and Ladybugs or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, rest in peace, Rodney Dangerfield, but it's a movie that was just hinging on his character doing what he did. So another breakout character is Bill Murray as Carl Spackler, and Carl Spackler is the groundskeeper of this property, of this Brentwood, I think it's Bushwood or Brentwood or whatever it is called. And this is a character like Meatballs where you really don't have any idea what he is doing. There's so much weirdness to his character, the way he's talking. There's points where he's like, like using a club to like destroy flowers. And then he does everything unimaginable to like catch this gopher, which is what I guess the head of the Greens or something like that. Or I don't know who it is, but it's a Scottish man. He's very stereotypical Scotsman. And just to watch Bill Murray do his thing in this movie, to be so strange, so weird, and then he finally just decides to like blow up the gopher with the explosives. There's points where he is just like staring people down. There's a point where he helps an older golfer as a storm's coming through, and the golfer is electrocuted and dies, and Bill Murray's character, just kind of wanders off and disappears. There's a lot of time in this movie where you're just not really sure what he's doing, like what is going through Bill Murray's head. And it's very interesting to watch him do his like voice, his mannerisms, how he talks to everybody in the movie. It's a weird character, but it's like such a lovable oaf of a character. So it's really enjoyable what Bill Murray's doing here, but it's just such a strange character. But it has so many good lines. And like they said, the last sequence when he just like uses the dynamite and explosive to blow up the golf course is incredible to watch. So it's a pretty interesting bravado performance from Bill Murray, and it's one of the best. So, and then we have Chevy Chase. Oh, the lovely Chevy Chase that no one truly likes in Hollywood. If you've ever watched that Friars Roast or New York club where they roasted him, it's pretty infamous about how much they really hate Chevy Chase.
We want you to stop making movies, television, anything. Please stop. You're out of control. You're in denial. No one wants you to work anymore but you. It's selfish. You're hurting yourself, the people around you, and you're disappointing people who rent videos everywhere.
But in this movie, he plays Ty, and he is almost like a fatherly figure to Danny, who's played by Michael O'Keefe, and Danny Nunes is like almost like a surrogate to this world of Caddyshack. And he's a hippie. He's always smoking dope or on drugs. He's really attracted to the hot, attractive woman that's in this movie. And he is a character that is always giving like the Buddha style life lessons. He's teaching Danny the ropes and how to, because Danny wants to be a lawyer and eventually he's trying to get into caddy school. And I think Chevy Chase is doing some wonderful work in this movie. I think he's exciting to watch. He's funny. He is doing some very strange, interesting, weird stuff with, wearing no shoes on the golf course or doing a no 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 stuff like that. And he does a lot of improvisation in this movie as well. And I just can't imagine when Brian Doyle Murray was writing the script that he would basically get some of the most infamous lines of dialogue in any movie imaginable. But Ty's a very interesting character. He's a fun character, but he's just a goofy, weird, strange character of a person. So, I mean, it is Chevy Chase, and apparently Chevy Chase and Bill Murray hated each other. But somehow Harold Ramis was able to get them to at least do one scene together, which is in the shack when Ty hits the ball in there, and they have their conversation. But you can almost feel the tension in that scene and the way they're playing out. It almost feels like Bill Murray wants to kill Chevy Chase because Chevy Chase is always known for being a jerk. So I can imagine that was not a fun scene to play. But yeah, Chevy Chase, interesting character, fun character. Not the most important, but he is the character that's like the surrogate to Danny. So we have also one of my favorite character actors in this movie, as well as one of my favorite characters in comedy in general, and that's of course Ted Knight as Judge Smalls. And Judge Smalls, like I said, he's the guy that with his wife is very rich, very of that type, very not very nice guy. He's one of the guys that would tip you $2 on like $150 to $300 meal. He comes off very snobbish, very rude, very just angry. And when you bring in Rodney Dangerfield and you see the amount of play and abuse, and Ted Knight apparently was a really nice guy, so to see him get like truly upset by what they were doing in real life, it really shows on screen. You can just feel like the blood pressure rising every time that he's around any of these characters. But he's like deliciously evil. He's deliciously angry. He gives out that aura that just reeks of just like I'm better than you type of scenario. And his wife is the same way. She's like that typical prim and proper woman who just can't handle the shenanigans that these caddies go through and the people on the course, and they think they run this course, so because they think they have a lot of influence, and their kids are very rude and uptight, and their son is just a kind of complete jerk and just real nasty. And I don't know. I really like what Ted Knight is doing in this movie. I think it's just fantastic, and I love his character. I love everything about it, and just to see him trying to react to everything when Danny and Lacey, who was played by Cindy Morgan, watch them when he walks in when they just had sex. It's pretty funny. It's a little goofy and whatnot, but he's a fun character. So I have a lot of respect for that character. I just enjoy how evil and ridiculous it is. So. Now, I do have to give some shout outs to Michael O'Keefe and Sarah Holcomb. They, of course, played Danny and Maggie. They're a couple in this movie. Maggie is apparently an exchange student from Ireland. Danny, of course, is the main there's not really a main character in this movie, but if he was a main character, he would be it. And Maggie is just there as like emotional support. She almost gets underused for the fact that Danny's always chasing after Lacey, and if she feels like such a character that's being used, why she keeps staying with Danny after what he does to her with cheating on her. We find out that she might have a kid. I don't know. It's such a weirdly written like romantic relationship, but I guess you can see, you're 18 years old, 19 or however old Danny is in this movie. Who knows how old Maggie is? But they have good chemistry together. Maggie is of course has a Scottish or Irish accent. She was in Animal House, so she is an American. So it's a very stereotypical Scottish Irish accent or whatever you want to call it. But they're fun, they're entertaining, and they enjoy when they're on screen. But they're not like the most important characters in the movie, but they are like the main characters. So if that makes any sense. But there are other caddies, there are other like smaller characters in this movie. There's one caddy who thinks he's like the big tough guy, and there's a bunch of kids, and that's what this movie is very much in a nutshell being, of a kind of photo shot of time of what it was like to live in the late 70s, early 80s. just the mannerisms of the kids, the way they dress, how everything was reacting to one another, the fact that all these kids were high and drunk and everything was really cheap. You know, they buy a Coke for like 25 cents and stuff like that. I think what Brian Doyle Murray and Harold Ramis were doing with this movie is just it's a wonder of art. It's a work of art. It's a movie that is just has no plot, but you just cannot not enjoy it. The fact that this movie was like almost critically panned by a lot of critics, and the fact that it gained a cult status is actually kind of surprised me, because I always figured this was a movie that everybody loved, that everybody really enjoyed. But I think with its tone, the way it kind of just like goes from place to place to place, it doesn't really set on one thing. It doesn't really, it just keeps going and going. It has like no real structure to it. When it comes to comedies, stuff like that, it really does feel like Animal House, because Animal House is the same way. It doesn't really, it just kind of goes where it feels like going. Cameraman's like, I'm gonna go over there and shoot some stuff on the 18, and Harold Ramis is like, okay, let's go over there to 18. We're all on coke and weed anyway, so why don't we go film that? Why don't we go see what Rodney Dangerfield is doing? It feels like that they were just like on the golf course and do whatever they want, and the cameramen were just kind of, you know, going back and forth. It's that type of movie, and it's a movie that just it wears its heart on its shoulder. It wears its energy on its shoulder. It wears its comedy on its shoulder. You know, watching these actors who are comedic marvels and comedic geniuses, and some of the biggest heavyweights in comedy even to this day. It's a work of pure amazement that this movie even works like it does. And there's some amazing scenes. The Baby Ruth and the pool sequence is really funny. Watching that guy get electrocuted and watching Bill Murray run away, the very end with, like I said, the golfer and stuff like that. I haven't talked about the gopher. Gopher's incredible because John Dykstra was one of the workers was one of the creators of that gopher, and it's like ear twitches and eye moves, and it's the way like puppeteering and stuff like that. It's just like a very realistic looking character that really does work. So this movie's incredible. It's a work of pure genius, to be honest. And then you have Kenny Loggins doing that really famous Caddyshack song that he does that plays throughout the entire movie, the beginning and near the end. Kenny Loggins through the 80s was known as the guy you went to create memorable songs, look like Top Gun and stuff like that. So his song here in Caddyshack is one of the greatest songs created for a movie. It's catchy, it's memorable, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's Kenny Loggins. You know what you're getting. So, but yeah, that's it. That's my take on Caddyshack. Happy 40th anniversary. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Caddyshack. Who is your favorite character if you really enjoy this movie? Like I said, I had to go Rodney Dangerfield as Al Sersnick, but everybody has their favorite character. So, but as always, thank you so much, guys, for joining me and continue to join me for these last 2 years and going into year 3. It does really mean a lot, so I do appreciate it. But yeah, if you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. It is Movie Emporium. Also, if you like this video, cool, hit that like button. If you dislike it, you know what? It is what it is. But otherwise, hit the notification bell at the top. I know what's coming next. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in year 3 of Movie Emporium. Peace out, guys. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.